Vasiukov, well, he was a very strong Soviet grandmaster. He won many international tournaments, very strong tournaments, and we played this sharp game in Hastings in 65 and 66, I think. And it was King's Indian. Of course, he knew that I'll play Zamish against the King's Indian. He liked King's Indian for black. So we had this very interesting game. Yeah.
All right.
So f3, knight, bishop e3, knight c6, knight g2, a6, queen d2, rook b8. Well, this is one of the very well-known positions for white and for black in this line. And here, white has many continuations. White can play immediately h4 or castle queenside. Instead, I played the move which is more quiet, let's say, knight c1. This is recommended by Botvinnik and Smyslov, and it looks very good also for white. White is a little bit better all the time, but it's not as sharp as the other continuations. h4 and castle long side is more or less, better in a tactical way, let's say, and white has many very sharp continuations at disposal, and could complicate more the position. After knight c1, everything is more or less forced. I mean, he played e5, yeah, and after d5, knight d4, knight b3. So okay, now he has to take in b3, because if he plays c5 instead, white has a better game. If he plays, for instance, c5 here,
Yes.
you have time to take in c6, and
In
if now
c6, here.
he takes, yeah, and after knight b3, you have another move. You don't take immediately in b3, you play c7 here. And after c7 has to take, and then you take in b3, and you are clearly better, because he has a weak pawn in d6. You have control on d5 and the d line, and it is clearly better for white. Later on, you play rook d1, bishop e2, and castle, and you are clearly better. White has a very, very nice position. So all this is theory, of course. So, okay, now he took there, I took back, and he plays c5. And here, white again has 2 or 3 other continuations. He can play g4, h4, and so on. But instead, the more logical move is to play immediately b4, to try to open the game. Now, if he wants something, he has to take in b4. And after knight a4, you take back your pawn, because he has no time to play b6 because of knight b6 or bishop b6, and you take back the pawn, and later on you win another pawn in b4.
But why not?
He played b5, yes.
Yes, but why not a5?
a5, you can play simply, if you want, bishop b6, and you take the pawn in a5, and later on the pawn from b4, and you have clearly better.
Okay.
It's not enough. So b5, you take in b5, he took in b5, and queen b4. Okay, this is theory. And Grandmaster Ivkov, a well-known Yugoslav grandmaster, and myself, we played both in some other games. Knight e8, and after knight c3, bishop h6. That gives more or less an even game for black. Very complicated, but it's still very interesting. So here, after queen takes b5, and he took in e4. This is home analysis from Vasiukov, Soviet analysis. I mean, he gives a piece for very strong initiative. It seems that everything is correct. So now, after queen h4 check, if you play g3 or bishop f2, in both cases, black is all right. Let's say bishop f2, for instance.
Bishop f2?
Yeah, bishop f2. He takes back in a4. He takes back in he takes back with the pawn from b5 in a4. He gives a rook.
Yes.
And now, if you take the rook, you have to take the rook, of course. And after queen takes e4 check, now you have many problems with white. More or less very unpleasant for white, because after bishop e2, you are probably lost. After bishop a6, the queen is hanging, and he wants to give you mate in e2.
Yes.
So this is very unpleasant. that was the analysis from Vasiukov, and he was probably sure that he will surprise his opponent, of course. No? So I do, and after check, King D2. King D2 is a quiet move, but now Black has to show that his initiative is strong enough for the piece. He sacrificed the piece, and the game is, very sharp, and he has to play very quickly, because the piece is a piece, here. If White has simply time to go back with the knight in c3, you can resign with Black, Yeah. So I took there, he took with check, and now King c2, and now he has to take in a4. He has, for the moment, has no check, and if, as I told you, if I go back with the knight in c3, the game is over. Knight up for nothing, So now he gives a rook, and now bishop g4. Okay, he hopes that he has a very strong initiative, and White has some trouble here. But maybe it was better to play bishop f5, not bishop g4. After bishop f5, if White wants to do something very quick, he takes the rook from f8, and then he takes also the bishop from f5. And he has 3 pieces for queen, and probably is much better, and White must win somehow. 3 pieces is a little bit too much. 2 rooks and the bishop against queen is too much.
But if you run away with the queen?
If you run away, he has time to give back, to give you a check, very unpleasant check in a c8, and then everything goes quickly enough. Maybe here he has some hope, Maybe... but after bishop g4 is simply losing. After bishop g4, everything is more difficult for Black, and he has not enough time to show you that his initiative is strong enough. So we'll see. It's very instructive. After now, everything is forced. Bishop d1. Now he threatens to give you check in c1 and then b3, but White moves simply bishop c4, and now White is winning. We'll see. You protect the square b3, and that must win.
Also the c1. You protect.
No? What did I play? I played bishop c4, no?
Yes, you played bishop c4.
So now,
So he played queen...
queen h5, because he has to play queen h5. Otherwise, it's nothing, If he loses the bishop from d1, he can resign, no? So after queen h5, queen d2, very simple. Now you have to move something with Black. But what? Bishop b3 is the only move. Because if he took with the rook in c4, after queen takes d1 or rook takes d1, rook up for White. No? So now again, he hopes to have somehow a perpetual, but it's much too late. I took. Queen e2, and now rook a4, and he can resign here. Well, he took a pawn, but that is nothing, of course. We play by inertia here, but he didn't want to resign immediately. That rook up. No.
He played
threatens mate, of course.
More moves.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit careful, but there's nothing to do for Black.
Here he resigned.
Here he resigned, yes. Well, it was very interesting because, knight takes e4. From now takes e4, everything is more or less forced, and White has to show everybody that the sacrifice was not strong enough, to give a better chance for Black, or at least an even game. Well, the knight, a piece is still a piece, If you don't show immediately that you have something, it's not enough.
Yes.
But it was very surprising. I was very surprised after knight takes e4. Tell the truth, I was really very surprised.
About the sacrifice.
Yeah, because Soviet analysis is always very dangerous, because there are a lot of grandmasters who analyze, and the result could be very surprising also.
Yeah, very surprised.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
But anyway, it was very interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.